The movie begins by introducing Sean and his wife, Andrea, a loving couple living a simple life in Los Angeles. With a baby on the way, they're both filled with excitement and hope for the future. But behind their happiness lies a harsh reality that Sean struggles with every single day. Sean works as a security guard at a school, but his salary is barely enough to support his growing family. Determined to give his wife and unborn child a better life, he desperately hopes the school principal will recommend him to a private security company where the pay is much better. To Sean, that opportunity could completely change their future. The story then shifts to a hospital, where Andrea arrives for her routine ultrasound. During the checkup, the doctor reveals that her pregnancy has developed a few complications. While there's no immediate danger, she will need proper medical care, plenty of rest, and emotional support throughout the pregnancy. Hearing this only strengthens Sean's determination. More than anything, he wants to build a safe and secure future for his child. Although Andrea also has a job, Sean dreams of becoming financially successful enough that she will never have to work again. Even with constant financial pressure and endless worries, their relationship remains strong. They genuinely love each other, support one another through every challenge, and do their best to enjoy the little moments in life. Sean continues to work honestly, treats everyone with kindness, and follows the same routine every day. But one ordinary night, everything suddenly changes. While exercising outside, Sean notices the streetlights around him beginning to fall one after another. Confused, he looks toward the sky and spots a strange glowing light moving in an unnatural way, almost as if an invisible force is controlling it. The mysterious light swirls through the sky for a few seconds before vanishing without a trace. The bizarre sight leaves Sean deeply unsettled, giving him the uneasy feeling that something terrible is about to happen. From this moment onward, the story takes a much darker and more mysterious turn. The following day, Sean and Andrea head out to attend a party with one of their friends, completely unaware that their lives are about to change forever. The friend accompanying Sean isn't just a close companion, he's more like family. Sean lost his mother during childbirth, and when he was only 7 years old, his father tragically took his own life. With no one left to care for him, his friend's mother, Robin, took Sean in and raised him as one of her own children. Robin is a warm-hearted woman, but she also has a habit of prying into everyone's personal life. During the party, she naturally brings up Sean's financial struggles and even offers to help him. However, Sean politely refuses, unwilling to accept charity from the people he considers family. Robin then tells Sean that his own father was an intelligent man as well, but he spent his entire life struggling financially. She quietly suggests that perhaps this unfortunate pattern has followed their family for generations. A little later, Sean's friend takes him down to the basement for a private conversation. With a smile, he teases Sean by asking whether he's truly ready to become a father. He jokes that once the baby arrives, there will be no turning back. Sean laughs and replies that after 7 months of pregnancy, it's already far too late to change anything. His friend then reminds him of something that happened during their high school camping trip. A frightened deer had become trapped in a fence while everyone else panicked and ran away. Sean was the only one who stayed calm, approached the animal, and somehow managed to free it. Remembering that day, his friend tells him that Sean has always had a special touch and that he'll make an incredible father. Although the words are comforting, Sean isn't sure he still believes in himself the way he once did. As they continue talking, Sean notices several guns stored in the basement. His friend explains that they originally belonged to his wife's father. Sean jokingly says that maybe he should buy one for himself, but his friend immediately shuts the idea down. He reminds Sean that with a baby on the way, he doesn't need a weapon. He needs to become the one protecting his family. Later that night, as Sean and Andrea drive home, Sean receives an urgent message from his boss, informing him that something is wrong with the school's security system. After dropping Andrea safely at home, he tells her not to wait up because he'll be working late. Moments later, the story shifts to the rooftop of the school. Sean repairs the security system, but before leaving, he notices that the lights on the rooftop are flickering. Curious, he climbs up to inspect them. The moment he reaches the top, a blinding light suddenly appears in the sky. Before he can react, he feels an invisible force pulling him toward it. Everything around him fades into darkness. Strange and terrifying visions begin flashing through his mind. He sees a massive web-like structure, mysterious tubes connected to his head, and even the lifeless body of his own father lying beside him. The horrifying images disappear as quickly as they appeared. A short time later, Sean wakes up in a hospital bed with his head wrapped in bandages. Andrea is sitting beside him, relieved to see him alive. She explains that he fell from the rooftop of the school, but somehow survived what should have been a fatal accident. Even the doctor calls it nothing short of a miracle and advises Sean to take complete rest for the next few days. After spending several days recovering, Sean finally returns home. Andrea scolds him for risking his life over something as insignificant as a faulty light. She reminds him that both she and their unborn baby need him alive and safe. Feeling guilty, Sean promises that he'll be much more careful from now on. But as the days pass, Sean begins to notice something incredibly strange happening to him. It feels as though something inside him has changed. He was never good at drawing before, yet now he effortlessly creates incredibly detailed sketches and paintings, almost as if a hidden talent has suddenly awakened overnight. At the same time, he starts experiencing disturbing hallucinations. The line between reality and imagination slowly begins to blur. One morning, after Andrea leaves the house, Sean suddenly sees an invisible force dragging her into complete darkness. Then, within the blink of an eye, the terrifying vision disappears, and everything looks perfectly normal again, making him question whether it was ever real. The following day, Sean is sitting inside the hospital's waiting area when he suddenly notices Andrea screaming on one of the television screens. Terrified, he rushes outside, only to come face to face with something even more impossible. Sitting quietly on a nearby bench is another man who looks exactly like him. It isn't someone who merely resembles Sean, it's his exact double, except this version appears exhausted, sick, and completely lost. From this moment onward, Sean's grip on reality begins to fall apart, and his senses become more unstable than ever before. Sean's condition continues to grow even stranger. He starts hearing voices from impossible distances, and whenever he picks up a pencil, his hands seem to move on their own, filling page after page with mysterious sketches that he doesn't even remember drawing. Concerned, the doctors perform every medical test they can think of, but the results come back completely normal. According to the reports, there's nothing physically wrong with him. Yet Sean knows something has changed. Deep inside, he feels as though a part of him is trapped somewhere else, desperately trying to find its way back. The accident on the school's rooftop no longer feels like a simple fall. Sean begins to wonder if that strange light somehow connected him to another world, or perhaps to an unknown alien force. As these thoughts consume him, the story grows darker, leaving both Sean and the audience questioning what is real and what exists only inside his mind. Hoping for answers, Sean takes all of his strange drawings to the doctor. Every sketch is filled with bizarre symbols, unfamiliar creatures, and impossible structures that look nothing like anything from Earth. He explains that the visions never stop, and on top of that, his hearing has become unbelievably sensitive. The doctor admits that science cannot explain any of Sean's symptoms. Instead of dismissing the drawings, he encourages Sean to keep making them, believing that his subconscious mind may be trying to communicate something important. He also recommends visiting a psychiatrist to better understand his mental state, but for now, he decides not to prescribe any medication. Back at home, Sean tries his best to return to a normal routine, but the hallucinations refuse to leave him alone. Late one night, he suddenly hears unfamiliar voices echoing through the house. Alarmed, he grabs a kitchen knife and cautiously walks toward the living room, preparing for the worst. Instead of an intruder, Sean discovers a frightened dog that somehow wandered into the house. Relieved, he takes the animal to his friend's home, knowing it will be safe there. Not long afterward, Sean visits a nearby store to buy paint for the baby's room. While he's there, he also picks up several art supplies, unable to ignore his growing urge to draw. When he returns home, Robin jokingly laughs and says that he's suddenly become an artist. But Sean doesn't find it funny anymore, because his senses have become so unnaturally sharp that he can now hear conversations taking place from incredible distances. One day, while cleaning the house, Sean comes across a collection of old photographs of his father. As he quietly looks through them, painful memories from his childhood begin rushing back. The loss of his parents, the loneliness, and everything he had tried to bury deep inside suddenly comes flooding into his mind. A few days later, Sean starts painting the walls of the baby's room, but instead of decorating it normally, he unknowingly creates a strange hypnotic pattern across the wall, as if someone else is guiding his hand. When Andrea walks into the room, she finds Sean asleep on the floor. The most disturbing part is that when he wakes up, he has absolutely no memory of painting those bizarre designs. With the baby's due date only days away, Sean's condition continues to deteriorate. His mind feels heavier than ever. Sometimes his senses become unbelievably sharp, while at other times they suddenly fade, leaving him feeling completely disconnected from the world around him. One evening, while heading to a party, Sean begins experiencing another terrifying vision. He notices a man standing in the distance, staring directly at him. As he focuses on the stranger's face, his heart nearly stops. The man isn't a stranger at all. It's another version of Sean himself. Frozen in fear, Sean continues staring until the mysterious figure begins to look increasingly unnatural. The sight is so disturbing that he can barely process what he's seeing. Then, in the very next moment, everything returns to normal as though nothing had ever happened. But Sean's mind is left completely shaken. Sometime later, Andrea finds Sean sitting alone by the roadside with blood running from his nose. He has no idea how he got there or what caused the bleeding. That same night, he wakes up and notices a small cut on his hand. Without realizing it, he keeps scratching the wound until it starts bleeding even more. When Sean later looks into the mirror, even his own reflection feels unfamiliar. He's no longer sure whether he can trust what he sees. Reality and hallucinations have become impossible to separate, pushing him closer and closer to a complete mental breakdown. Overwhelmed with guilt, Sean finally opens up to Andrea. He tells her that he was supposed to be the one protecting her and their unborn child, but instead he feels like he's becoming a burden. It feels as though some invisible force is constantly holding him back. Andrea tries to comfort him, insisting that everything he's experiencing is only affecting his mind and begging him not to give in to these dark thoughts. Still desperate for answers, Sean makes a decision that he never thought he would. He goes to his friend's house and asks him for a gun. Sean's friend refuses to hand over the gun, insisting that it's a terrible idea. But Sean refuses to back down. He has become convinced that an unknown force is coming after them, and he believes he'll need a weapon to protect his family when that moment arrives. One day, while putting up posters near a building, Sean suddenly hears the desperate cries of a baby coming from inside. Without wasting a second, he rushes into the building to help, but after searching every room, he discovers that no one is there. The crying vanishes as mysteriously as it began, leaving him even more disturbed. By now, Sean has started attending regular sessions with a psychiatrist. Desperate for answers, he asks what is happening to him. After reviewing his condition, the doctor explains that Sean may be suffering from a rare neurological syndrome that can occur after a serious head injury. According to the doctor, trauma to the brain can sometimes cause new neural pathways to form. Changes in brain chemistry may unlock abilities that were previously dormant, leading to unusual skills or heightened senses. While the condition is extremely rare, the doctor assures Sean that it isn't considered supernatural or inherently dangerous. But Sean refuses to believe that explanation. Deep down, he's convinced that everything began after the mysterious light on the school's rooftop, and that some kind of alien force is responsible for everything happening to him. As the days pass, the guilt inside Sean continues to grow. He feels that instead of supporting Andrea during her pregnancy, he's only making her life more difficult. Driven by fear and paranoia, he secretly buys ammunition, convinced that he'll eventually need it. The following day, Andrea discovers the gun and immediately confronts him. Furious, she reminds Sean that their baby could arrive at any moment and that keeping a loaded weapon inside the house is incredibly dangerous. But instead of listening to her, Sean quietly takes the gun and hides it inside his car. The next day at school, Sean receives another devastating setback. His boss informs him that the school's front gate had been left open throughout the entire night and that something strange had even been discovered on one of the walls. Because of the incident, his long-awaited promotion is no longer being considered. He'll be allowed to keep his current job, but nothing more. Meanwhile, Sean's drawings become even more disturbing than before. They are filled with terrifying alien-like figures, bizarre creatures, endless desert landscapes, and strange symbols that resemble some kind of coded map. Looking at them, it almost seems as though someone is trying to guide him back to an unknown place. When Andrea finally sees the collection of drawings, she breaks down in tears. Holding the sketches in her hands, she asks Sean what these terrifying images are trying to tell him and what they actually mean. But Sean has no answers because he doesn't understand them himself. The truth is, Sean doesn't understand his own drawings either. Every sketch feels important, but he has no idea what they're trying to tell him. Desperate for answers, he begins searching for any clue that might explain what's happening inside his mind. A few days later, Sean visits Robin, believing she might know something about his late father. One particular word has been repeating endlessly in his thoughts: Esther. Hoping it means something, he asks Robin about it. She explains that Esther is the town where Sean's father grew up and spent his childhood. The moment Robin says those words, Sean suddenly sees her face begin to change. To him, she no longer looks human. Instead, her features appear twisted into something alien. Terrified, Sean stumbles backward and shouts that none of them are human. Trying to prove to himself that he's trapped inside some kind of illusion, Sean grabs a knife and stabs his own hand. Blood immediately pours from the wound, and the intense pain tells him that everything he's experiencing is physically real. Robin rushes over to bandage his hand, but instead of calming down, Sean becomes even more frightened by what just happened. Later, Sean walks alone along the beach with the gun in his hand. Completely overwhelmed, he begins believing that ending his own life may be the only escape from the nightmare consuming him. But when the moment finally comes, he can't bring himself to pull the trigger. Instead, he throws the gun away and quietly walks back home. When Sean arrives home, another painful surprise is waiting for him. Robin and his friend's wife are already there with Andrea, who has collapsed and is lying unconscious. Furious, his friend's wife blames Sean for everything, accusing him of pushing Andrea into unbearable stress with his increasingly unstable behavior. The situation becomes even more heartbreaking when Andrea refuses to see him. Those words completely shatter Sean. Feeling that he has nowhere else to go, he spends the next few days staying at his friend's house. Even then, his mind refuses to slow down. He spends every waking moment drawing strange symbols, impossible structures, and mysterious patterns that continue appearing in his thoughts. Remembering the doctor's advice that drawing could be his mind's way of healing itself, Sean decides to seek help once again. He brings the latest collection of sketches back to the doctor. After carefully examining them, the doctor admits that the drawings are incredibly detailed and unusually complex. Despite studying them closely, he still can't determine what they represent or what message Sean's mind is trying to communicate. Sean grows increasingly frustrated because he feels that no one is truly listening to him. Everyone keeps searching for medical explanations, but no one believes what he's actually experiencing. To him, it feels like the entire world is ignoring the truth. One day, while sitting in the doctor's office, Sean suddenly suffers another nosebleed. Within seconds, his vision begins to fade, and everything around him becomes blurry. When he regains awareness, he finds himself standing inside a hospital delivery room. A woman is struggling through childbirth, but moments later, she suddenly dies. Sean rushes forward in panic, only to discover that the woman lying on the bed is Andrea. Horrified, he screams her name and breaks down in tears. Then, just as suddenly as it began, he opens his eyes and realizes it was nothing more than another terrifying hallucination. Still shaken, Sean races back home to make sure Andrea is safe. Thankfully, she's completely fine. But before he can calm himself, another disturbing vision takes over. This time, he imagines that Robin and his friend's wife have transformed into alien beings and are tormenting Andrea. A few seconds later, the illusion disappears, and everything looks perfectly normal again. While trying to collect himself, Sean notices something strange inside the baby's room. New paintings have appeared on the walls, and he knows for certain that he didn't create them. The artwork depicts an unfamiliar town called Esther. The name instantly catches his attention because it's the very same word that has been repeating inside his mind for days. Convinced that the place holds the answers he's been searching for, Sean gets into his car and drives straight to Esther. The moment he arrives, a chill runs through his body. Every landscape surrounding him looks exactly like the ones he has been drawing without understanding why. As he continues driving, forgotten childhood memories begin returning one after another. Eventually, he reaches his old family home. Sitting quietly outside is someone Sean never expected to see again, his own father. Sean freezes in disbelief. He knows his father died many years ago, yet there he is, sitting peacefully as though nothing had ever happened. Slowly, Sean walks over and sits beside him. His father smiles warmly and tells Sean that he'll become a wonderful father, someone who will accomplish everything he never could. Those words completely break Sean's heart. Fighting back tears, he quietly tells his father that his son has always loved him. As Sean finally stands up to leave, the peaceful silence is suddenly shattered by the sound of a gunshot. At that very moment, the mysterious, blinding light appears once again. Sean feels an invisible force pulling him away, as though he's finally returning to where he truly belongs. The next thing he knows, he's back on the rooftop of the school, the exact place where everything first began. Overwhelmed with dizziness, Sean slowly sits down, trying to make sense of what has just happened. That's when an unfamiliar man quietly walks toward him. Looking directly at Sean, the stranger tells him that he's incredibly brave because very few people ever manage to come back so quickly. He then opens a notebook filled with names, locations, and strange coordinates. According to the man, returning isn't easy because someone had thoroughly altered Sean's brain, making his return something extremely unusual. Sean has no idea who this mysterious man is or what he's talking about. Before Sean can even ask a single question, the stranger simply drives him home and leaves without another word. Sean no longer cares about finding answers. After everything he's been through, all he wants is to see Andrea and be with her again. When he enters the house, he finds her peacefully asleep in bed. He quietly lies down beside her, and for the first time since this nightmare began, a genuine smile appears on his face. It feels as though the nightmare is finally over. But just when everything seems normal again, the movie delivers one final twist. The bedroom walls are covered with the exact same drawings Sean had been creating throughout the story. The strange symbols, the mysterious landscapes, and the terrifying alien figures are all there, even though they should never have existed. That final image leaves one haunting question behind. If everything Sean experienced was only inside his mind, then who created those drawings? The movie never answers that question, leaving the mystery unresolved even for Sean himself. And with that unsettling thought lingering in the background, the movie comes to an end as Sean quietly rests beside the woman he loves.